Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to attend the regular presser from the State Council. Today we would love to present you how the State Council departments are dealing with the proposals for the NPC and CPPCC. And today with us, we have the party group member and Secretary General of MOST, Mr. Pan Xiaodong. From the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, the Chief Vet Officer, Mr. Tao Huaiying. From the Ministry of Commerce, Vice Minister Xiaodong. And from SAMR, Vice Minister Deng Zhiyong. First of all, allow me to brief you about how the departments of State Council are dealing with the proposals for the two sessions in 2025. And in 2025, different departments of State Council were guided by the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics and combine that theory with the detailized jobs in their departments. 8,754 proposals were handled from NPC and 4,600 have been taken care of from the CPPCC, and 97.3% of the total proposals have been completed. And the deputies have been very satisfied with the handling. During the process, different departments are executing the newly amended deputy law and the CPPCC work regulation. We strictly abide by the working mechanism with close communication and follow-up methods, especially highlighting the new demands in the documents. Different departments have accepted 4,900 proposals from the deputies, and about 2,200 new policies came out as a result. We have aggressively supported modernization and contributed to stabilizing investment and consumption in order to pursue high-quality development with new drivers. As to the pain points of improving people's livelihood, we have made some new achievements. So that's my briefing, and now I would give the mic to the different ministries to brief you about their relevant work done. First of all, Mr. Pan Xiaodong. Dear media friends, good afternoon. First of all, I would love to express my thanks to you for your long-term support and concern of the work of MOST. Allow me to brief you about how the MOST has been handling with the NPC proposals. Guided by the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, we put high premium on the role of science and technology in underpinning development. And in recent years, the NPC deputies and CPPCC members pay high attention to science and technology. MOST has accepted a rising number of proposals from them. And mainly, those proposals were about basic research, technological breakthroughs, combination of technology and industry, regional technological innovation, talents development, and international technological cooperation. MOST is committed to responding to whatever has been raised. We practiced the whole process people's democracy, and we have handled 901 proposals. All of them have been handled with high quality, and we put premium on communication, building consensus so that the insights of the deputies and members could be translated into policies to spurring technological development. As to the methods, first of all, we strengthen our organizational leadership. MOST pay high premium on the proposals with some specific theme-based conferences held, and with the priorities of the whole year, we try to facilitate the two in parallel. Secondly, we have 4 principles. We convene timely conferences to smooth away the key priorities of the proposals, and we accurately take it over to the certain hands, and we have a manual for the handling process to ensure the orderly fashion of the implementation. And also we have a clear timetable and the responsible persons. We also have a log in order to keep the time. And also for the responsible entity person, there will be an authority hierarchy. Third, we have an accountability system. So communication has been executed throughout the whole process. Before, during, and after, we would hold the certain people accountable for efficiency. And we are problem-oriented and pragmatic in practices. We set up a database for technology-related proposals with the large models for analysis. And we also have reports introduced for reference. In the next step, MOST will adhere to higher standards to handle the deputy and members' proposals in order to systemize, standardize the whole process. With high-quality handling of the proposals, we hope to better support the development of a strong technology power. Mr. Tao Huaiying, please. Dear media friends, good afternoon. First of all, I would love to thank everyone for your long-term support of the work of Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. Our work has received high attention from the deputies of NPC and members of CPPCC. Last year, our ministry has handled 1,449 proposals. 992 proposals included. And for the food security, new quality productive forces, and village revitalization, as well as the 15th five-year plan, were the most frequently mentioned proposals. For the village revitalization proposals, they'll account for 40% of the total in our ministry. So those proposals are of great significance for our ministry's work. And we prioritize the relevant proposals. As to the new deputy law, we also aim to improve the execution. The party group is responsible, and the general office is the coordinator. We have different layers in our responsibility system. Together, we hope to improve the efficiency of the handling process. And we have timely response and satisfactory ratio, registering 100%. We pay attention to research and analysis. Those proposals include grassroots-level experience and insights. They would help the government to help the general public and solicit public opinions. So Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs must study profoundly each and every of them. And we have a breakthrough made in terms of systematic and holistic analysis, instead of just individual learning. And the ministry-level leaders would take the lead in handling the proposals, especially the prioritized ones. We also pay attention to communication. We closely engage with the grassroots-level deputies and members, and we took customized methods in contacting them, for example, conferences and doorstep visits, and telephone calls, emails, and so on. So we frequently communicate with those deputies and members in different forms. And for the prioritized proposals, the leaders in our ministry set up such an investigation group. The delegation paid visits to Guangdong, Henan, Anhui, Jiangsu provinces, and so on to have face-to-face communication with those grassroots-level deputies and members, with very good results received. And we also highlight digital empowerment. We have a nationwide information system, and we set up a closed loop for the management of the list. And we would publicize the whole process, including the acceptance of certain proposals. We keep the whole nation updated in order to publicize the whole process. And also, we highlight translation. The handling process is closely related with the certain policies related to agricultural rural affairs, especially the priorities. We would take certain measures to implement those proposals together with our regular work. And the pursuits of the deputies would be translated into policies as a result. In 2025, by learning from the proposals, we introduced certain policies in the number of 544. This year, we are going to continue to solicit opinions from the deputies and members. Thank you. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Xiaodong. Dear media friends, good afternoon. Many thanks to all of you for your concern about the work of MOFCOM. The work of MOFCOM is an integral part of the big domestic circulation. It's also a hub for setting up a dual circulation. So we play a very big role. In 2025, MOFCOM was committed to the high standing, precise selection, stringent procedure, and close communication, profound investigation, and efficiency guarantee principles. So the high-quality handling of the proposals was taken as a very important way to solving the urgent matters in the hearts of the people. We have handled 1,020 proposals together, including 584 suggestions and 436 proposals. In the whole process, we have 4 highlights. First one, highlight the political standing. MOFCOM has profoundly studied the instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping as to executing the instructions of CPC Central Committee. We are committed to the whole process people's democracy in our handling of the proposals and suggestions. We hope to respond to every matter to ensure the deputy and members' rights of participating in political affairs. Secondly, quality insurance. MOFCOM set up a mechanism to involve our ministry-level leaders profoundly. And also the minister is wholly responsible for the handling process. We also have responsible people to take care of the entire process. We set up a log and a layered regulation system to ensure that our response to the deputies and the members was timely and high quality. Thirdly, we answer the similar questions together in order to solve the real problems. We have some investigation and conferences in a solid manner, and our online communication was also timely and flexible. So the deputies and members were involved to the depths. So their suggestions could be translated into true measures to solving the problems. In 2025, we have accepted 161 such suggestions and proposals, and we came out with 46 new measures and policies, winning high recognition from the deputies and members. So this work has benefited a whole group of people, increasing the cohesiveness. And in 2025, MOFCOM has handled 27 prioritized NPC suggestions and 28 CPPCC prioritized proposals. We centralize our resources to highlight those priorities. We revitalize the handling process of the whole year. In the key areas concerned by the deputies and members, we came up with a series of pragmatic and innovative policies. In the next step, MOFCOM will continue to be people-oriented in our work. Together with the deputies and members, we would endeavor to continue to profoundly handle and execute the proposals in order to have high-quality commercial development in China. Now, Mr. Deng Zhiyong, please. Good afternoon, everyone. For starters, I would love to thank you for your long-term support and help of SAMR. Now, allow me to take this opportunity to brief you about how SAMR dealt with those proposals. In 2025, we handled 1,084 such proposals, including 730 from NPC and 354 from CPPCC, especially highlighting standardizing market order, risk aversion, and standardization matters in order to have effective competition in the market and revitalizing the market momentum. SAMR paid high attention to those proposals and suggestions, and it has been taken as part of our work. We have profoundly studied those proposals to improve the quality of the results. First of all, we took a high stance to implement this work. SAMR set up a panel specifically responsible for this work, especially for the e-commerce and food safety issues. The leadership in SAMR were deeply involved in the first-line investigation to study the problems. Secondly, building consensus based on communication. We communicated with the deputies and members throughout this whole process. Especially, we clarified the highlights and listened to their feedback. After the handling, we would also have a feedback process and follow-up visits to build up our consensus. And also, we highlight cohesive governance and coordination. Thirdly, we have a coordination mechanism to have a prioritizing procedure, especially combining the work with the regular priorities of our work, especially for the highly typical proposals with high concerns from the public. We prioritize them. We put together our energy in solving those key problems, and we review them in a timely fashion. Fourthly, quick action with solid results. We have regular follow-up and dynamic management process to ensure that we can complete the job in a timely fashion. In 2025, all of those accepted proposals have been finished. And the policies came out in the number of 125. So basically, every query has been responded. We truly touched the pain points of the general public. In the next step, we are going to be committed to problem-orientedness to improve the effectiveness of those proposals and suggestions in order to set up an orderly market and support reform deepening and development. With high-quality handling of those proposals, we can pursue high-quality development of the market regulation. Now we open the floor to questions and answers, and please identify yourself before raising the questions, please. Thank you. From the 21st century. My question is to MOFCOM. MOFCOM took the lead in diversifying innovative players. So in terms of revitalizing consumption, what measures have been taken? What about the results? Thank you for the questions. According to the fourth plenary session of the 20 CPC Central Committee, we must stand firm on revitalizing consumption and domestic consumption especially. So in 2025, MOFCOM has taken certain measures to benefit people's livelihood by spurring consumption. We have a dedicated plan for that cause in order to dig into the potential of consumption. The contribution ratio of consumption to GDP was about 52% compared to the last year. That was 5 percentage points higher. In terms of commodities and goods consumption, we step up our efforts to have a replacement plan. Especially, we support the cultivation of international consumption cities by optimizing the tax rebate policies. And we convened a series of China activities in order to spur trade, especially the traveling China trade activities. In 2025, the social consumable retail volume exceeded 50 trillion RMB yuan for the first time in history. And for the replacement policy, 2.61 trillion RMB yuan was contributed. 300 million people benefited from the policy. And also, the service consumption mechanism was in place to enlarge the scope of service-oriented consumption. We hope to combine the service consumption together with the old age care mortgage and a series of other measures such as the interest subsidy loans. So to that end, we had a service-oriented consumption season activity. We also introduced some new pilot projects to innovate the scenarios of service consumption. For the service-oriented retail sales, it increased by 5.5% year-on-year. For culture, creativity, sports, traveling, transportation, the service-related retail sales was up by double digits. As to new forms of consumption, we hope to make it booming. We aggressively develop new forms of businesses, new scenarios, and new business models. We have come up with a series of policies to support the digital consumption. Also, we encourage green consumption with certain campaigns to further elevate consumption levels. We also encourage health-related consumption development. In 2025, the online retail sales was up by 8.6% year-on-year. For the NEV retail sales, it was up by 17.6%. Market penetration ratio was 53.9%. For sports and entertainment businesses, it was up by 15.7%. So the circulation system has been optimized. We helped 40 cities to set up pilot projects about business circulation centers. For example, the shopping malls have been renewed, and we hope to set up a big convenience radius for the people living in the metropolises. Also, we hope to accelerate the innovative contents of certain business forms. We are upgrading tens of thousands of stores. For those qualified places in China at county, village levels, we can have full coverage of the outlets. The village level e-commerce platforms have been built. For the wholesale and retail sales, 14.6 trillion RMB yuan was registered. 10.4% was contributed to GDP. For the consumables retail, it registered 6.8 trillion RMB yuan, up by 4.1%. The village online sales was up by 6.7%. For the agricultural products online sales, it registered 700 billion RMB yuan, up by 9.9%. We also convened an agricultural product fair. with 20 billion RMB yuan sold. In the next step, MOFCOM will continue to be driven by both policies and activities so as to revitalize consumption. With that campaign, we hope to increase the Chinese branding influence and enlarge our international market. Thank you from CMG. As is known to all, the financial capital is very supportive of high-level technological independence. That's why it's a high concern from the deputies and members. And as we know, MOST has come up with a series of policies about that mechanism. So I'm curious about how is that going. Thank you for the question. Technology and financial services are very important reform areas. Enterprises and financial sector deputies are highly concerned about it. They gave active proposals. In 2025, several deputies and members proposed about fintech. And last year, with 7 entities, including PBOC, we discussed about how to set up technology and financial sector mechanism in order to improve our independence. And to execute those results, together with PBOC, we set up a mechanism so that the central government and local governments can coordinate for that purpose. First of all, we encourage early investment in the small enterprises, and investment in the long term. We have about 1 trillion yuan allocated to that purpose. Together with big banks, insurance foundations, and local governments, we set up some technology and financial combination funds, as well as some secondary funds with a total scale of over 350 billion RMB yuan, so as to divert the money for the startup businesses. Secondly, we encourage the bank's credit to better support technological innovation. Technological innovation refinancing would have a bigger support. 1.25 basis points would be reduced for their interest. Technology Innovation 2.0 version plan would be in place. 26 banks and enterprises signed for a contract volume of 390 billion RMB yuan. So the enterprises have a higher sense of satisfaction. And the balance of credit was about 3.63 trillion RMB yuan for those technology firms. And we have enhanced our support level of the tech market. And a series of tech reform measures are already materialized, improving their adaptation to the market. And for the financial institutions, tech firms, Silk Road, equity investment institution, we have long-term interest policy. In 2025, different market players issued 1.8 trillion RMB yuan of bonds for tech firms. And fourthly, we support 3 tech centers to have pilot projects. We guide Beijing and 13 other regions, including Jinan, to set up a pioneering centers for tech reform. We also have a scoring mechanism for innovation. We guide local financial institutions to practice different forms of technology innovation. In the future, we're going to continue to work with the financial institutions to innovate our financial services in order to improve the technology independence level with the financial support. Agriculture productivity was a buzzword in the proposals. In the next step, how do we combine technology innovation and industrial development? Thank you for the question. In 2025, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs handled 96 related proposals about technologies, and Standing Committee of NPC has taken productivity development as a priority among those proposals. And our ministry was highly concerned with those proposals. We have convened some conferences to study the matter. We paid visits to Jiangsu, Shandong, Heilongjiang in Mongolia, in total 11 provinces for field visits, so the proposals could be taken into the policies, plans, and opinions. And there would be pragmatic measures coming out from those proposals that could effectively improve productivity of agriculture innovation system. And certain technological research in agriculture can be translated. In 2025, technology contribution was about 64% to agriculture development. A series of major breakthroughs have been made. To give you some example, in basic research, we successfully revealed that the T cells could be better used individually. And we have a successful cloning of the heat-tolerant genes of rice. So in the high heat, rice production and yield can be stabilized. In terms of cutting-edge research, agriculture, biology, manufacturing technologies have made some indigenous achievements. Smart agriculture large models have been iterated in application. Also, the new breeding of wheat was a success, improving yield and quality with the new breeds. Machinery research has made some new achievements as well. In the terrains and mountainous areas, they used to have some difficulties in growing. And now the problem has been properly handled. In the next step, we're going to focus on the integration of technological innovation and industrial innovation so as to develop new quality agriculture productive forces. We highlight high-quality technological supply, improving the customized supply of technologies for the industries, for the customers. In that way, we are going to accelerate the breeding process, machinery development, and agriculture AI development. With a typical set of results, we are going to strengthen the development of tech firms. The tens of thousands of tech firms campaign will be taken care of, and we hope that a series of enterprises could build a consortium. Industrial, academia could come together for the technology translation in application. Agriculture high-tech pilot zone, modern agriculture parks, and demonstration bases would be developed. Those would be verification platforms for agriculture technologies, and the technology results would be translated at a faster pace. And also, we would set up a team of agriculture machinery systems. The research institutes, universities, and enterprises and other players would be given full play to introduce the technologies into different households. Different deputies proposed about the pain points of the rat race. So, how can we translate those proposals into policies and measures to set up a unified nationwide market? Thank you for the question. Removing those pain points in building a nationwide unified market was a very important arrangement. The deputies centered on law enforcement, accountability system of the platforms, and so on. SCMR paid high attention to those proposals, and we felt the pulse of the requirements of building such a unified national market. As to the cracking down of those illegal behaviors and industrial upgrading, improving the systems and policies, we have come up with a series of innovative measures. With those solid measures, we hope to deal with the rat race problem in our unified market. In terms of cracking down upon those illegal behaviors, we have stringent law enforcement, especially for those key areas, with 9 dedicated plans. In Chengdu, there was a typical case about e-commerce behavior. We had talks with those relevant enterprises, and we suspended certain business behaviors, and there are some ghost online stores. And the typical cases have been publicized. So with just one case dealt with, we could have some deterrent effect on a number of enterprises. Also, we have handled 1,856 quality-related cases. For an example, we have withdrawn 10 times those portable power source cases. And also for the vehicles, we have the whole vehicle spot checks, urging the enterprises to be responsible. And also, we played a positive role in the introduction of anti-illegitimate competition law. And we helped the platform enterprises to abide by the law with a red line drawn. Also, we have come up with an implementation method for fair competition. We have completed 60,000 different documents review, standardizing the market players' behaviors. In the next step, we are going to honor the commitments of the 4th plenary session of 20th CPC Central Committee so that such an effective market and government intervention could be combined in order to guarantee high-quality development. In 2025, the external risks were rising in 2025. Different deputies proposed about quality improvement and efficiency improvement. So what has been done by MOFCOM? Thank you for the question. Under the leadership of CPC Central Committee, MOFCOM coordinated digital trade, service trade, and goods trade so as to respond to external challenges. And our foreign trade has already shown its resilience. The scale has come up to a historical high, and the structure has been optimized and upgraded. Export and import contribution ratio to GDP was about 32.7%. As to the goods trade, we have revised the certain trade law, especially for e-commerce. For the e-commerce cross-border export and overseas warehouses, we have improved policies. For the trade fair enterprises, we reduced the fees for their exhibition. We come up with a policy about green trade so as to build up the export brand of China. The goods trade volume in 2025 exceeded 45 trillion RMB for the first time. For 9 years in a row, China was #1 in the world in terms of goods and commodities trade. As to the BRI countries, our export and import volume was 23.6 trillion RMB yuan, accounting for 51.9% of the total. And for the high-tech goods export volume, it was about 5.25 trillion RMB yuan, accounting for 19.5% of the total export. As to service trade, we comprehensively implemented the negative listing for cross-border services so as to open up that area. We introduced a service facilitation policies. We revised the catalogs to encourage the development of export and import. We successfully convened China International Service Trade Fair. In 2025, nationwide, service export and import exceeded 8 trillion RMB yuan for the first time, up by 7.4% year-on-year. Service trade increased by 14.2%. Trade structure has been optimized continuously. As to digital trade, we facilitated the State Council Information Office opinions in terms of the digital trade development. Digital trade export base was developed. We cultivated the market players in digital trade. Certain standards came out so that domestic standards could be allied with international ones. We also implemented outsourcing high-quality development plan for service trade, so there could be a digitalization process for the service outsourcing. We also convened a digital trade expo and Silk Road Exhibitors Day. There were 46 such activities. We have a reporting board, and in total we have 382 different results for those activities. In the next step, we will continue to upgrade trade development so as to cultivate new drivers of foreign trade and to build up the Chinese brand. We would aggressively develop the service trade to support the production-related services and knowledge-intensive service export. We would actively develop digital trade, open up the digital sector, and encourage digital trade demonstration zone development in China. We would endeavor to contribute to a strong trade development in the 15th five-year plan period. Translation of technological results was the last kilometer. It's the driver for the enterprises as well. So, as to the translation of technological results, what proposals have been made and what measures have been taken by MOST? Thank you for the questions. The deputies and members have always been concerned about the translation of technological results. 176 proposals were made about them, especially about the dominant role of the enterprises, deepening technological reform, and strengthening the verification, capacity building, and enhancing the translation of the technological results. MOST actively absorbed those suggestions and took several measures to improve the translation ratio of the technological results. First of all, highlighting the dominant role of the enterprises. From the institutional design, we hope to give them the master's role. And as to the prioritized industries, we cultivate a group of dragonhead enterprises and highly fast developing enterprises. And also, secondly, we increase the R&D input. 525 enterprises from the Chinese mainland ranked the top 2,000 in the world in terms of R&D, accounting for 26.3% of the total. Compared to 2020, that was about 4.9 percentage points higher. And the average intensity of R&D increased from 3.3% to 4.0%. Secondly, deepening the mechanism reform of translation of technological results. We studied about the policies and documents about that matter so that they could be highly applied. We highlight the role of scenarios in the translation of technological results. And for the technological transfer institutions and managers, we hope to build up a team. The higher learning institutions stand at the number of 1,000 contributing to the translation, working together with 19,000 enterprises. Thirdly, we encourage conceptual development and verification capacity building. We hope to co-build the conceptual verification platforms. Together with certain entities, we hope to set up emerging Industry Innovation Center, Technological Innovation Center, Manufacturing Industry Innovation Center, the university campus, parks, and national-level innovation base. So the conceptual verification capacity building will be taken as one of the priorities. Now, 12 tech centers at national level have set up 70 related verification and review platforms. Fourthly, intensify financial support of the translation of technological results. Together with the PBOC and others, we have introduced a series of measures in terms of how the financial service can support the translation of technological results. The venture capital, the bank mortgage, and capital market have been introduced in the measures. So for the technological translation, there would be more capital to be mobilized. Two more questions. Standards matter to the quality of the products and competitiveness of the industry. So is that one of the concerns? And in terms of standardization at national level, what has been done? Thank you for your concern about standardization. Standard is the cornerstone of quality and a measurement of development. In 2025, SAMR handled related suggestions and proposals at the number of 248, accounting for 23% of the total in SAMR. Of course, we pay high attention to the work of standardization, and we step up our efforts in the traditional industries, service industries, emerging industries standardization, and standard upgrading. In 2025, we published 4,929 national standards, up by 56% year-on-year. So standardization system building has made tangible results. In terms of the emerging industry standardization, that was a loophole. For example, for NEV, the lithium batteries and PV industries, we have a standardization plan. 167 key technology standards were planned. As to AI sector, we initiated 100 standard campaign. 15 of those national standards have already been published. As to BCI, Meta Universe, and humanoid AI, 39 different committees have been set up for the standardization. And we submitted 138 standards to the International Standardization Organization. We contributed Chinese wisdom. As to traditional industry, we focused on petrochemicals, construction and building materials, textiles, and so on. We upgraded and updated 1,800 such national standards. We highlight low carbon and green development, energy consumption, home-used refrigerators, as well as 30 other carbon emissions and pollutants emission-related standards. So those traditional industries would also see some refreshing achievements made in standardization. As to some home services, the production-related and life-related service standards came out. We have a 3-year working plan with 101 related standards. We hope to contribute to reducing the logistics cost of the whole society. For the delivery services platforms and old age care standards, we hope to standardize the governance of the platforms to improve the quality of old age care. As to verification, we have a guideline so that the standards implementation could be supervised nationwide. For the first time, we publicized 32,000 national standards information to the public, and 100 million hits were made, and 24 million downloads. And for those hazardous chemicals and motorbikes, standards were high concerns of the society, and our standards met the needs of the enterprises and the public. In the next step, we're going to continue to implement the instructions of CPC Central Committee and State Council and work together with relevant entities to come up with some national standards, including improving the working mechanism of the standardization process. For the prioritized areas, we would update the standards, and for the mandatory national standards, we're going to increase the supply and strengthen their application so that a unified, cohesive, and efficient national standardization system would be in place. Thank you. Last question. Thank you. From the paper, for food security, the proposals was in high numbers. So my question is to Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, what work has been done in response to the proposals, and what's your plan for this year? Food security is a national matter. General Secretary Xi Jinping was highly concerned about food security, and it is also the matter in the hearts of deputies and members. Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs last year handled 151 such proposals and suggestions related to food security. The deputies and members touched upon the empowerment of technology, yield improvement, and policy support with a group of very good suggestions. We have carefully studied those suggestions and deeply implemented a new round of grain production increase plan and yield improvement plan. For the arid areas or flood-stricken areas, we hope to reduce the influence of the extreme weathers, and the grain output registered new records. In 2025, the output was 1,429.8 billion jin. For 2 years in a row, we have registered a level of above 4 trillion in total, supporting the stabilization of our national development. In 2026, we're going to continue to work on grain output. So output, ecology could be considered simultaneously. And a new round of output improvement campaign could lead to a good bumper harvest. To put it simply, this year we're going to stabilize the area of growing and improving the yield. In terms of stabilizing the area of growing, food security responsibility system is in place. There will be layered execution. The policies about stabilizing food output would be executed, and there will be some compensation measures. So at the local level, we could mobilize the enthusiasm of the peasants to increase the sowing areas. As to improving yield, we encourage those eligible areas to increase the yield of grains. And the yield improvement project would be scaled up. And the fertilization technologies and high-performance sowing machineries and other technologies would be utilized in order to have a magnifying effect of yield improvement. As to optimizing structure, we would take customized measures to improve the food and grain production structure across different regions. We would optimize the breeds and quality, especially for the wheat, rice, corn, and offer proper marketing channels for those grains. Also, we would increase the accuracy of weather forecast, improve water conservancy facilities, and the flood governance. Regional agriculture disaster reduction centers would be developed. And we would fill in the loophole of storage in order to be more flexible to those different weathers. And we would have emergency response mechanism in place so as to minimize the loss of natural disasters. That's all for the presser. Thank you, everyone.